Introduction. Before this audiobook begins, pause for one honest moment and ask yourself this: how much of your peace have you lost because you took someone's words, silence, mood, rejection, or opinion personally? Maybe they changed and you blamed yourself. Maybe they ignored you and your mind created 100 painful stories. Maybe they criticized you and you carried their words like they were the truth about your worth. But sometimes people do not hurt you because you are weak, wrong, or not enough. Sometimes they act from their own pain, their own confusion, their own immaturity, and their own inner emptiness. This audiobook is your reminder to stop giving people that much power over your heart. You do not have to become cold. You do not have to stop caring. You simply have to become strong enough to feel something without letting it control you, calm enough to hear an opinion without becoming it, and wise enough to protect your peace instead of handing it to every person who misunderstands you. So before we begin, subscribe to the Book Frog, stay until the final chapter, and listen closely, because the day you stop taking everything personally is the day you stop living from pain and start living from power. Chapter 1. Not everything is about you. The first lesson of this audiobook is one of the hardest truths to accept, but once you understand it, your heart begins to breathe again. Not everything people do is about you. Not every silence is rejection. Not every late reply is disrespect. Not every bad mood is your fault. Not every distance means you were not enough. And not every cold behavior is a message about your value. Many people destroy their peace because they make themselves the center of every negative reaction around them. Someone becomes quiet, and they think, maybe I did something wrong. Someone changes their tone, and they think, maybe they are tired of me. Someone does not choose them, and they think, maybe I am not worthy. This is how personal pain begins, not always from what happened, but from the story your mind creates around what happened. When you take everything personally, you turn other people's behavior into a mirror and then punish yourself for the reflection. You look at their distance and see your unworthiness. You look at their silence and see your failure. You look at their criticism and see proof that you are not good enough. But the truth is, people are not always responding to you. Many times they are responding from their own wounds, their own pressure, their own immaturity, their own fears, their own jealousy, their own insecurity, and their own private battles that existed long before you entered the room. A rude person may be rude because bitterness has become normal inside them. A distant person may be distant because they do not know how to communicate. A critical person may criticize because they hate something unresolved within themselves. A careless person may hurt you not because you deserved pain, but because they never learned how to handle another heart gently. This does not mean you should excuse disrespect, tolerate mistreatment, or pretend people's actions do not matter. It means you must stop carrying every action as a personal attack against your identity. There is a difference between recognizing someone's behavior and absorbing it as your worth. You can notice that someone is unfair without concluding that you are worthless. You can see that someone is distant without turning their distance into a wound inside your self-esteem. You can accept that someone does not understand you without begging your heart to believe that you are impossible to love. Maturity begins when you learn to separate what people do from who you are. Many people live emotionally exhausted because they are constantly trying to decode everyone. They study tone, timing, facial expressions, messages, silence, reactions, and small changes in behavior until their mind becomes a prison of overthinking. They wonder why someone did not reply the same way. They wonder why someone looked different today. They wonder why someone stopped giving the same attention. They wonder why someone chose another person, why someone did not invite them, why someone did not appreciate them, why someone did not understand them. And while they are busy analyzing everyone else's behavior, their own peace is being drained silently. They are not living, they are investigating. They are not healing, they are interpreting. They are not focused on their life, they are trapped inside other people's emotional weather. You must understand something deeply. People are allowed to have moods that are not about you. People are allowed to have limitations that are not your fault. People are allowed to misunderstand because their eyes are not clean enough to see you clearly. People are allowed to speak from pain because they have not healed. People are allowed to walk away because their path is different from yours. But you are also allowed to stop turning their every action into a personal wound. You are allowed to say, "This may hurt, but it does not define me." You are allowed to say, "Their behavior belongs to them, and my peace belongs to me." You are allowed to stop giving everyone the authority to decide how you feel about yourself. The painful thing about taking everything personally is that it makes you emotionally dependent on people who may not even be emotionally healthy themselves. You begin waiting for their approval to feel calm. You begin needing their attention to feel secure. You begin needing their kindness to feel worthy. You begin needing their reply to feel chosen. You begin needing their understanding to feel innocent. But what happens when they are confused, careless, immature, jealous, bitter, distracted, or emotionally unavailable? Your peace collapses because you placed it in hands that were never stable enough to hold it. This is why you must stop making people's behavior the foundation of your inner world. Sometimes people will dislike you because you remind them of something they have not become. Sometimes they will judge you because your growth exposes their excuses. Sometimes they will ignore you because they do not know how to value what is real. Sometimes they will criticize you because your courage makes their fear uncomfortable. Sometimes they will misunderstand you because understanding you would require them to think deeper than they are willing to think. None of this means you should hate them. It means you should stop making their reaction the final truth about you. Everyone sees life through the condition of their own heart. A wounded heart sees threats. A jealous heart sees competition. A bitter heart sees reasons to attack. A peaceful heart sees with more honesty. So when someone reacts to you, remember that their reaction often reveals more about the condition of their heart than the value of yours. One of the most powerful signs of inner strength is the ability to pause before personalizing pain. When someone is cold, pause. When someone misunderstands you, pause. When someone criticizes you, pause. When someone excludes you, pause. Do not immediately hand your identity to the first emotion that rises inside you. Ask yourself, is this truly about me, or is this about them? Is this a lesson, or am I creating a wound from a moment? Is this something I should learn from, or something I should release? That small pause can save you from hours of anxiety, days of overthinking, and years of carrying emotional weight that never belong to you. There will be moments when people's behavior truly is unfair. They may disrespect you, betray you, lie about you, reject you, speak harshly, or treat you like your presence has no value. But even then, taking it personally in the wrong way can hurt you twice. First, they hurt you with their behavior. Then you hurt yourself by believing their behavior is proof that you deserved it. This is where many hearts break deeply. They do not only suffer because someone left. They suffer because they decide the leaving means they are unlovable. They do not only suffer because someone criticized them. They suffer because they decide the criticism means they are worthless. They do not only suffer because someone changed. They suffer because they decide the change means they were never enough. You must stop adding your own self-rejection to someone else's poor behavior. The truth is, someone can fail to value you, and you can still be valuable. Someone can misunderstand you, and you can still be honest. Someone can reject you, and you can still be worthy of love. Someone can leave you, and you can still be whole. Someone can criticize you, and you can still be growing. Someone can treat you poorly, and you can still refuse to become bitter. Their behavior is information, not identity. It tells you something about them, something about the relationship, something about the situation, and sometimes something about what you need to improve, but it does not get to tell you that your life has no worth. As you grow stronger, you must learn the difference between responsibility and self-blame. Responsibility is powerful because it helps you grow. If you made a mistake, you can admit it. If you spoke wrongly, you can correct it. If you need to improve, you can become better. But self-blame is different. Self-blame makes you carry things that are not yours. It makes you apologize for other people's immaturity. It makes you feel guilty for someone else's lack of respect. It makes you believe you caused someone's cruelty simply by existing near them. A mature person accepts responsibility where it is truly theirs, but they refuse to carry shame for what belongs to another person. Not everything deserves deep emotional analysis. Some people are simply inconsistent. Some people are simply immature. Some people are simply not ready for healthy connection. Some people are simply careless with words. Some people are simply unable to give what you hoped they could give. When you keep trying to find a deep reason for every shallow behavior, you exhaust yourself. You do not need to build a complete explanation for why someone could not love you properly, respect you fully, or understand you clearly. Sometimes the answer is not hidden. Sometimes the answer is simply that they did not have the capacity, and when someone does not have the capacity, your worth is not the problem. This lesson is especially important for people with sensitive hearts. If you feel deeply, you may notice everything. You may notice changes in tone, small delays, different expressions, shifts in energy, and moments that others ignore. Your sensitivity can be a gift, but if it is not guided by wisdom, it can become a source of suffering. You begin collecting emotional signals and turning them into painful conclusions. You feel every change and assume every change is danger. You read between lines that were never written. You suffer from meanings that may not exist. This is why sensitive people must become wise, because sensitivity without wisdom becomes overthinking. But sensitivity with wisdom becomes understanding. A strong person does not ignore reality. A strong person simply refuses to exaggerate every moment into a personal attack. If someone treats you poorly, notice it. If someone repeatedly drains you, create distance. If someone shows you their character, believe the pattern. But do not let your mind turn every painful experience into a statement that you are not enough. That is where your power must return. You can learn from people without being destroyed by them. You can see the truth without becoming bitter. You can protect yourself without creating a story that your heart is unworthy of peace. The more you stop taking everything personally, the more peaceful your life becomes. You stop chasing explanations from people who do not even understand themselves. You stop begging for closure from people who benefit from confusion. You stop losing sleep because someone had a bad mood. You stop giving strangers, critics, old friends, cold people, and careless voices the ability to control your inner weather. You begin to understand that your peace becomes stronger when it no longer depends on everyone treating you perfectly. This does not happen overnight. Your mind may still react. Your heart may still feel hurt. Old habits may still make you personalize things quickly, but every time you pause, breathe, and remind yourself that not everything is about you, you become a little freer. Every time you refuse to turn someone's behavior into self-hatred, you become stronger. Every time you choose observation over emotional reaction, you protect your peace. Every time you remind yourself that someone's inability to value you does not reduce your value, you rebuild your power. So as this first chapter closes, carry this truth with you. Not everything is about you, and that is not an insult. It is freedom. It means you do not have to carry every mood, every silence, every opinion, every rejection, every misunderstanding, and every broken person's behavior as proof against your worth. Let people be responsible for their own energy. Let people reveal themselves without making their revelation your identity. Let people act from their wounds without turning their wounds into your home. Your job is not to personalize every storm. Your job is to stay grounded, protect your peace, learn what needs to be learned, release what needs to be released, and remember that your worth remains yours even when other people fail to see it. Chapter 2. Their opinion is not your identity. One of the most powerful things you must learn if you want to stop taking everything personally is this: their opinion is not your identity. What someone thinks about you is not automatically the truth about you. What someone says about you is not automatically the definition of you, And what someone fails to see in you does not mean it does not exist. Many people live wounded because they allow other people's opinions to enter too deeply, sit too comfortably, and speak too loudly inside their own mind. One person criticizes them, and suddenly they question everything. One person misunderstands them, and suddenly they feel the need to explain their whole heart. One person rejects them, and suddenly they feel unworthy of love, respect, or belonging. This is how people lose themselves without realizing it. They keep handing their identity to people who never had the wisdom, maturity, or purity of heart to hold it properly. You must understand that people do not always see you as you are. Most people see you through the condition of their own mind. A jealous person may see your confidence as arrogance. An insecure person may see your growth as a threat. A bitter person may see your peace as fake. A controlling person may see your boundaries as disrespect. A shallow person may see your depth as strange. A wounded person may see your silence as rejection. This is why you cannot build your identity from every opinion that touches your life, because not every opinion comes from truth. Some opinions come from fear, some come from envy, some come from pain, some come from misunderstanding, some come from someone's need to feel superior because your presence awakens something uncomfortable inside them. If you allow every opinion to define you, you will never know peace. Because people's opinions change with their mood, their needs, their wounds, and their position in your life. When you are useful to them, they may call you kind. When you set boundaries, they may call you selfish. When you agree with them, they may call you wise. When you disagree, they may call you difficult. When you are available, they may call you loyal. When you finally protect your energy, they may call you cold. If you keep adjusting yourself to every new label people place on you, you will become a stranger to your own soul. You will spend your life trying to remain acceptable to people who keep changing the price of acceptance. There is a deep danger in needing to be understood by everyone. At first it feels innocent. You only want people to know your intention. You only want them to see your heart. You only want them to stop thinking wrongly about you. But if you are not careful, this need becomes a prison. You begin explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. You begin defending your character to people who benefit from doubting you. You begin chasing emotional approval from people whose judgment was never fair in the first place. And slowly, your peace becomes dependent on whether the outside world sees you correctly. But a peaceful life cannot be built on the hope that everyone will understand your heart. You must accept that some people will misunderstand you, no matter how clearly you speak. Some people will twist your words because they are looking for a reason to judge you. Some people will reduce your whole story to one moment because that is easier than seeing your humanity. Some people will only remember what helps them justify how they feel about you. Some people will hear your truth and still prefer their version because their version protects their ego. This is painful, but it is also freeing because the day you accept that you cannot control every opinion is the day you stop living like a prisoner of other people's minds. Their opinion may be loud, but it is not final. Their judgment may be sharp, but it is not law. Their rejection may hurt, but it is not proof that you are without value. Their criticism may sting, but it is not the full measurement of your life. You must become strong enough to let people think what they want, without rushing to rebuild your identity around their words. You can listen when there is truth. You can learn when there is wisdom. You can correct yourself when correction is needed. But you must never allow careless opinions to become the voice that names you. There is a difference between feedback and identity. Feedback may help you improve your behavior, your habits, your communication, your discipline, or your direction. Identity is deeper. Identity is who you are beyond a single mistake, a single opinion, a single failure, or a single season. A mature person can accept feedback without becoming destroyed by it, because they understand that correction is not condemnation. But an emotionally wounded person hears one criticism and turns it into a life sentence. They do not think, maybe I can improve this. They think, maybe I am nothing. That is why healing matters. because when your inner foundation is weak, even small opinions can feel like earthquakes. When someone criticizes you, pause before you absorb it. Ask yourself whether the person speaking has the character, wisdom, honesty, and care to speak into your life. Not every voice deserves equal weight. Some people criticize because they want you to grow. Some criticize because they want you to shrink. Some speak truth with love. Some throw pain and call it honesty. Some give advice from wisdom. Some give advice from their own fear. You must learn the difference. If you treat every voice as authority, you will become confused, unstable, and emotionally exhausted. A wise person does not ignore every opinion, but they also do not open their soul to every mouth. Many people suffer because they give the deepest access to the shallowest opinions. A stranger says one negative thing, and they forget 10 people who encouraged them. One critic mocks their effort, and they forget the courage it took to begin. One person rejects them, and they forget the people who genuinely value them. One careless comment ruins their confidence because their confidence was standing too close to the outside world. You must stop giving strangers, critics, jealous people, bitter people, and emotionally immature people the power to move the center of your life. Your confidence cannot be built on applause, because applause can disappear. Your worth cannot be built on praise, because praise can be withdrawn. Your identity must be rooted deeper than reaction. The truth is that people will always have something to say. If you are quiet, they may call you boring. If you speak, they may call you too much. If you are kind, they may call you weak. If you set boundaries, they may call you rude. If you forgive, they may call you foolish. If you walk away, they may call you proud. If you succeed, they may say you changed. If you struggle, they may say they knew you would fail. If you wait for a life where nobody judges you, you will wait forever. The goal is not to become someone everyone approves of. The goal is to become someone whose peace is no longer controlled by approval. This is where real strength begins. Real strength is not the ability to make everyone like you. Real strength is the ability to remain grounded when everyone does not. Real strength is not proving yourself in every room. Real strength is knowing when your character does not need a courtroom. Real strength is not replying to every false story. Real strength is understanding that the truth does not always need your anxiety to defend it. Sometimes your life will speak louder than your explanation. Sometimes your consistency will answer what your words cannot. Sometimes the most powerful response is to keep becoming better, while people remain busy misunderstanding the old version of you they invented in their mind. You must also stop confusing someone's inability to value you with your lack of value. This mistake breaks many hearts. Someone does not choose you, and you think you were not worth choosing. Someone does not respect you, and you think you were not worthy of respect. Someone does not appreciate your presence, and you think your presence was not valuable. But a person's inability to recognize value does not destroy the value itself. A blind person cannot see the sunrise, but the sunrise is still real. A bitter person may not appreciate kindness, but kindness is still beautiful. A shallow person may not understand depth, but depth is still rare. Do not let someone's limited vision convince you that there is nothing worth seeing in you. Some people will only appreciate you after they lose access to you. But even then, you must not make their regret the proof of your worth. You were valuable before they noticed. You were valuable while they ignored it. You were valuable while they misunderstood it. You were valuable while they took it for granted. If you need someone to regret losing you before you believe you mattered, then your identity is still tied to their recognition. Let their regret be their lesson, not your foundation. Your worth does not begin when someone finally realizes it. Your worth exists even in rooms that fail to honor it. As you grow stronger, you must learn to stand alone inside your own truth. This means you do not collapse every time people see you incorrectly. You do not abandon yourself every time someone disapproves. You do not become desperate every time someone withholds praise. You do not keep reshaping your personality to fit inside the comfort of people who were never meant to guide your life. Standing in your truth means you know your intentions, your values, your direction, and your heart, even when others question them. It means you can say, "I hear what they think, but I know who I am." This does not mean you become arrogant. Arrogance refuses to learn. Strength remains open to truth but closed to poison. Arrogance says, "Nobody can correct me." Strength says, "I will accept correction from wisdom, but I will not accept destruction from insecurity." Arrogance rejects every uncomfortable word. Strength examines it carefully, takes what is useful, and releases what is not. This balance is important because some people use self-worth as an excuse to avoid growth, while others use humility as an excuse to accept disrespect. The wiser path is in the middle. Be teachable, but not easily broken. Be humble, but not easily owned. Be open, but not emotionally available to every voice. There will be seasons when people's opinions become especially painful because they touch places inside you that are still unhealed. Someone says you are not enough, and it hurts deeply because a part of you already feared that. Someone says you are difficult, and it hurts because you have spent your life trying to be easy to love. Someone says you will fail, and it hurts because you are already afraid of failing. This is why other people's opinions often reveal the wounds you need to heal. The goal is not only to silence the outside world. The goal is to strengthen the inside world, so that outside words no longer find such easy access to your deepest fears. Your work is to build an identity that does not fall apart when someone disapproves of you. Build it through discipline. Build it through honesty. Build it through self-respect. Build it through keeping promises to yourself. Build it through knowing your values. Build it through healing old wounds. Build it through choosing peace over reaction. Build it through becoming someone you can trust privately, not only someone people admire publicly. When you know you are living with integrity, outside judgment loses some of its power. It may still hurt, but it does not own you. Many people spend too much energy trying to manage their image and too little energy building their character. Image is what people think you are. Character is who you are when no one is watching. Image can be attacked by opinion, but character is built through truth. If you focus only on image, every rumor becomes a crisis, every criticism becomes an emergency, and every misunderstanding becomes a battle. But if you focus on character, you become calmer because you know the deeper work is still yours. Let people debate your image if they want. You keep building your character. In the end, a strong life is not built by controlling every opinion. It is built by becoming someone whose truth is stronger than noise. You must stop begging people to confirm what you should already know about yourself. Stop waiting for someone to tell you that you are worthy before you start living like it. Stop waiting for someone to approve your path before you walk it. Stop waiting for someone to understand your heart before you trust it. Stop waiting for someone to praise your progress before you respect your effort. The more you depend on others to define you, the more vulnerable you become to those who are careless with words. But when you begin defining yourself through truth, discipline, faith, values, and self-respect, other people's opinions become something you can hear without becoming. There is freedom in letting people be wrong about you. At first, it feels uncomfortable because the ego wants to correct every false story. The heart wants to be understood. The mind wants to clear its name. But not every misunderstanding deserves your life energy. Some people are not looking for truth. They are looking for confirmation of what they already decided. Trying to convince them will only exhaust you. Let them think what they want if explaining costs your peace. Let them carry their version if correcting it requires you to abandon your calm. You do not need to attend every argument you are invited to. The strongest people are often the most misunderstood because they no longer live for easy approval. When you begin protecting your peace, people who benefited from your lack of boundaries may misunderstand you. When you begin focusing on yourself, people who were used to your availability may call you selfish. When you begin changing, people who were comfortable with your old weakness may call you strange. When you begin growing, people who are afraid to grow may try to pull you back with judgment. Understand this clearly. Sometimes their opinion becomes negative not because you are doing something wrong, but because you are no longer playing the role that made them comfortable. Do not shrink because someone is uncomfortable with your growth. Do not apologize for becoming calmer. Do not feel guilty for becoming wiser. Do not return to the old version of yourself just because people knew how to control that version. Let them be surprised. Let them be confused. Let them have opinions. Your job is not to remain understandable to people who only accepted you when you were easier to use, easier to influence, or easier to hurt. Your job is to become whole. As this chapter closes, remember this with all your heart. Their opinion is not your identity. Their misunderstanding is not your truth. Their rejection is not your worth. Their criticism is not your name. Their inability to value you is not proof that you have no value. You can listen, learn, and grow without letting every voice become the ruler of your inner world. You are allowed to be seen incorrectly and still remain grounded. You are allowed to be judged and still remain peaceful. You are allowed to be disliked and still remain worthy. The day you stop building your identity from other people's opinions is the day you begin standing in a power that no one can easily take from you. Chapter 3. Stop reacting to every emotional trigger. The third lesson of this audiobook is where your real power begins to show, because the moment you stop reacting to every emotional trigger, you stop being easy to control. A trigger is not always a loud insult, a harsh attack, or a dramatic betrayal. Sometimes a trigger is a delayed reply, a cold tone, a certain look, a small criticism, someone ignoring your effort, someone misunderstanding your intention, someone comparing you, someone leaving you out, someone acting differently, or someone touching an old wound they do not even know exists. The danger is not only what happened, the danger is what happens inside you after it happens. One small moment can suddenly wake up years of insecurity, fear, rejection, anger, shame, and self-doubt, and before you realize it, you are no longer responding to the present situation. You are reacting from every old pain that the situation reminded you of. This is why emotional control is not about pretending you do not feel anything. It is about understanding what you feel before your feelings use your mouth, your actions, your messages, your decisions, and your dignity against you. Many people lose their peace not because the world is always attacking them, but because every small trigger gets permission to become a storm inside them. Someone says one sentence and they carry it for 3 days. Someone gives them silence and they punish themselves with overthinking all night. Someone criticizes them and they forget every good thing they have ever done. Someone rejects them and they immediately start questioning their entire worth. This is not living from power. This is living from emotional injury, where the outside world presses a button and your inner world collapses. You must understand that when you react quickly, you often hand your power to the exact person or situation that disturbed you. The one who provoked you now controls your mood. The one who ignored you now controls your thoughts. The one who insulted you now controls your energy. The one who misunderstood you now controls your entire day. This is how emotional slavery works. Nobody has to lock you in a room. They only have to know which words can move you, which silence can scare you, which behavior can make you chase, which criticism can break you, and which memory can pull you back into pain. If you do not master your reactions, people do not need power over your life. Your triggers will give it to them for free. A person who takes everything personally reacts from the wound, not from wisdom. They feel disrespected, so they immediately attack. They feel ignored, so they immediately chase. They feel misunderstood, so they immediately over-explain. They feel rejected, so they immediately beg for reassurance. They feel criticized, so they immediately defend every part of themselves. They feel jealousy, so they compare. They feel fear, so they quit. They feel loneliness, so they return to people they already know are not good for their peace. The trigger arrives, and instead of pausing, they become a servant to the first emotion that rises. This is how one moment becomes a mistake, one mistake becomes regret, and one regret becomes another wound that could have been avoided with a little more patience. The pause is where your power lives. That small space between what happened and what you do next may look simple, but it can change the direction of your entire life. A pause can stop you from sending the message you will regret. A pause can stop you from reopening a door that took months to close. A pause can stop you from speaking words that damage someone you love. A pause can stop you from giving a reaction to someone who was only trying to pull you out of your peace. A pause can stop you from making a permanent decision during a temporary storm. This is why mature people do not worship instant reaction. They have learned that some emotions are loud, but not wise, strong, but not truthful, painful, but not permanent. When someone triggers you, your first responsibility is not to prove yourself. Your first responsibility is to understand yourself. Ask yourself what part of you was touched. Was it your fear of being abandoned? Was it your need to be respected? Was it your old pain from being ignored? Was it your insecurity about not being enough? Was it your anger from being used in the past? Was it your shame from an old mistake? Was it your fear that people will leave when you stop being useful? These questions are powerful because they turn reaction into awareness. Without awareness, you keep blaming the outside world for every explosion inside you. With awareness, you begin to see that some situations hurt not because they are massive, but because they touched something inside you that still needs healing. This is not about blaming yourself for being triggered. It is about becoming responsible for what your triggers produce. You may not control the first feeling that rises, but you can learn to control whether that feeling becomes your behavior. You may feel anger, but anger does not need to choose your words. You may feel hurt, but hurt does not need to make you beg for validation. You may feel rejected, but rejection does not need to make you abandon yourself. You may feel misunderstood, but misunderstanding does not need to pull you into an exhausting courtroom where you spend hours defending your heart to someone who is not listening. The feeling is real, but the feeling is not always the leader you should follow. Some people will trigger you on purpose because they know the old version of you. They know which words make you defensive. They know which silence makes you panic. They know which attitude makes you chase. They know which criticism makes you doubt yourself. They know which comparison makes you insecure. They know which disrespect makes you explode. And when they see that they can still pull a reaction from you, they know they still have access. This is why your calm becomes dangerous to people who used to control you through emotion. When you stop reacting the way you used to, their old methods stop working. Your silence becomes a boundary. Your peace becomes protection. Your self-control becomes the announcement that you are no longer the same person. Do not underestimate the power of not reacting. In a world where everyone wants an immediate response, silence can become one of the highest forms of strength. Not every accusation deserves defense. Not every insult deserves anger. Not every lie deserves panic. Not every person deserves access to your emotional explanation. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is remain still while another person tries to pull you into their storm. This does not mean you allow disrespect without boundaries. It means you do not let disrespect turn you into someone you do not respect. You can leave, you can block, you can set a boundary, you can speak calmly, you can remove access. But you do not have to explode to prove that something hurt you. Many people confuse reaction with strength because reaction feels powerful in the moment. Anger gives a temporary rush. A harsh reply feels satisfying for a few seconds. Proving a point feels like victory. Making someone feel the pain they caused you may feel like justice. But afterward, when the fire cools, you may be left with regret, embarrassment, damage, or a deeper emptiness than before. Real strength is not the ability to burn everything down when you are hurt. Real strength is the ability to protect your dignity while you are hurting. Real strength is choosing words that your calmer self will not be ashamed of. Real strength is walking away from the argument that your ego desperately wants to win, but your peace cannot afford to enter. You must become wise enough to recognize emotional bait. Emotional bait is when someone says or does something not to solve a problem, but to pull a reaction out of you. They may use disrespectful words, sarcastic comments, cold silence, guilt, comparison, blame, or sudden affection to pull you back into old patterns. If you react blindly, you become part of the game. If you pause, observe, and choose consciously, the game loses power. Some people do not want understanding, they want control. Some people do not want peace, they want a reaction. Some people do not want truth, they want drama. The moment you realize this, you stop giving expensive energy to cheap provocations. There is a kind of pain that comes from being misunderstood, and many people react strongly because they cannot tolerate being seen incorrectly. They want to correct every false story, answer every accusation, and prove every intention. But you must learn that not every misunderstanding is worth your nervous system. Some people misunderstand because they lack information. Those people can be spoken to. Some misunderstand because they are hurt. Those people may need time, but some misunderstand because they want to misunderstand. They have already decided who you are, and your explanation will only give them more material to twist. When you meet this kind of person, your reaction becomes fuel for their version. Your calm refusal to enter the battle becomes your freedom. As you grow, you must learn to let people be wrong without losing yourself trying to correct them. This is not easy, especially when your heart is clean and your intention was good. But peace requires sacrifice, and sometimes the sacrifice is your need to be understood by people who are not committed to truth. You may want to send a long message. You may want to explain every detail. You may want to show them where they were unfair. You may want to prove that your heart was not what they claimed it was. But before you react, ask yourself whether the person has shown the maturity to receive truth. If they have not, your explanation may become another way you abandon your peace for someone who does not know how to honor it. Emotional triggers also reveal where your self-worth is still dependent on outside behavior. If one ignored message can make you feel worthless, then part of your worth is still waiting for replies. If one criticism can make you feel like a failure, then part of your confidence is still built on praise. If one person leaving can make you feel unlovable, then part of your identity is still dependent on being chosen. This is not something to hate yourself for, it is something to heal. Triggers are not only enemies, sometimes they are messengers. They show you where you are still bleeding. They show you where your peace is still fragile. They show you where you need to stop outsourcing your worth. The next time something triggers you, do not only ask, why did they do that? Ask, why did this affect me so deeply? That question can change your life. Maybe it affected you because you are tired of being ignored. Maybe it affected you because it reminded you of childhood pain. Maybe it affected you because you keep giving too much to people who give too little. Maybe it affected you because your confidence is still not rooted. Maybe it affected you because you have been silently tolerating more than you admit. When you ask deeper questions, your trigger becomes a doorway into self-understanding instead of just another reason to suffer. You must also learn that calm is not passive. Calm is active strength. Calm is not doing nothing. Calm is choosing not to be ruled by chaos. Calm can set boundaries. Calm can walk away. Calm can speak the truth firmly. Calm can end access. Calm can refuse disrespect. Calm can make strong decisions without needing to scream. Many people think calm people are weak because they are used to confusing noise with power. But some of the most powerful people in the world speak quietly because their strength does not depend on volume. Their presence has weight because their emotions are not uncontrolled. They do not need to shake the room to prove they are serious. When you stop reacting to every trigger, you begin to protect your energy for what actually matters. Think about how much life is wasted in emotional reaction. Hours spent replaying a conversation, nights lost to anger, days ruined by someone's opinion, weeks wasted trying to prove yourself, months spent chasing closure from people who only create confusion, years spent emotionally tied to someone who knew exactly how to disturb your peace. Now imagine what your life would look like if that energy returned to you. Imagine using that attention for discipline, growth, health, purpose, learning, healing, building, creating, and becoming stronger. Every reaction you stop feeding becomes energy you can use to build yourself. A powerful person is not someone who never feels triggered. A powerful person is someone who no longer lets triggers become commands. They may feel the rise of anger, but they wait. They may feel the sting of rejection, but they do not chase. They may feel the ache of being misunderstood, but they do not beg. They may feel the pressure to respond, but they choose dignity. They may feel the old wound being touched, but they remind themselves that the old wound does not have to choose the new behavior. This is what growth looks like in real life. It is not always dramatic. Sometimes it is a person sitting quietly with a strong emotion and refusing to let it destroy what they have worked so hard to rebuild. You must become less available to emotional emergencies that are not truly emergencies. Not every message needs an immediate answer. Not every conflict needs immediate attention. Not every feeling needs immediate expression. Not every invitation to argue needs immediate attendance. Sometimes the most mature answer is, "I will respond when I am calm." Sometimes the strongest boundary is, "I am not available for this conversation right now." Sometimes the wisest move is to step back long enough to let your nervous system settle. Because when you respond from calm, you speak from your values. When you react from a trigger, you speak from your wound. Your nervous system needs your protection. If you constantly expose yourself to people and situations that keep you anxious, defensive, angry, jealous, insecure, or emotionally unstable, your body begins to live as if danger is always near. You may call it love, friendship, loyalty, or responsibility, but if something repeatedly destroys your inner peace, you must be honest about what it is doing to you. A peaceful life is not only built by thinking positive thoughts, it is built by reducing access to what repeatedly triggers your worst version. You cannot keep standing in fire and then blame yourself for feeling burned. Sometimes emotional control begins with distance. Distance is not always punishment. Sometimes distance is medicine. Distance gives your mind space to think clearly. Distance gives your heart time to stop shaking. Distance gives your emotions room to settle. Distance helps you see whether something was truly love or only attachment, truly respect or only habit, truly connection or only fear of being alone. When you are constantly inside the trigger, you may not see clearly. When you step back, patterns become visible. This is why people who want to control you often fear your distance. They know that once you are no longer reacting from the middle of the storm, you may finally see the storm for what it is. Do not be ashamed if you used to react strongly. Many strong reactions come from years of not being heard, not being valued, not being protected, or not being allowed to express pain safely. Sometimes your reaction is not only about the present moment, it is the voice of many moments where you had to swallow pain, stay quiet, or pretend you were fine. But healing means you no longer let old pain choose new damage. You can honor what you survived without allowing survival habits to keep controlling your life. The old reaction may have been understandable, but the new you must become responsible for creating a different response. There is a quiet confidence that grows when you know you can trust yourself under pressure. When you can trust yourself not to explode, not to beg, not to chase, not to over-explain, not to collapse, not to send the message, not to return to the wound, not to make a decision from panic, your entire life changes. You begin walking differently because you know your peace is not as easy to steal. You begin speaking differently because you no longer need to prove yourself through reaction. You begin choosing differently because you are not letting temporary feelings create permanent consequences. Self-control builds self-respect, and self-respect builds inner power. People may test the old version of you, but they should meet the new one. They may expect you to argue, but meet your silence. They may expect you to beg, but meet your distance. They may expect you to over-explain, but meet your calm boundary. They may expect you to collapse, but meet your grounded presence. They may expect access to your emotions, but meet a version of you that has finally learned the price of giving that access too easily. Let them be surprised. Let them wonder why you no longer respond the same way. Let your growth confuse people who only knew how to reach your wounds. As this chapter closes, remember this truth deeply. Every trigger is an invitation, but you do not have to accept every invitation. Anger may invite you to destroy your dignity. Fear may invite you to run from growth. Loneliness may invite you back to people who broke your peace. Criticism may invite you into self-hatred. Rejection may invite you to question your worth. Misunderstanding may invite you to over-explain yourself into exhaustion. But you are allowed to decline. You are allowed to pause. You are allowed to breathe. You are allowed to choose wisdom over impulse, peace over pride, dignity over reaction, and self-respect over emotional surrender. The day you stop reacting to every emotional trigger is the day you stop living like the world owns your nervous system. You become harder to disturb, harder to manipulate, harder to pull backward, harder to shame, harder to break. Not because you feel nothing, but because you have finally learnt that your feelings are real, but they are not always the ruler of your life. You can feel the wound and still choose wisdom. You can feel the fire and still refuse to burn your future. You can feel the storm and still remain rooted. That is power. That is peace. That is the beginning of becoming someone who no longer takes everything personally, because they no longer allow everything to control them. Chapter 4. Protect your peace like it is sacred. The fourth lesson of this audiobook is one of the most important lessons you will ever learn if you truly want to stop taking everything personally. Protect your peace like it is sacred, because your peace is not a decoration in your life. It is the ground your whole life stands on. When your peace is gone, your mind becomes noisy, your emotions become unstable, your decisions become weak, your focus becomes broken, and your heart begins reacting to things that should never have been allowed to reach so deeply. Many people treat peace as something they will protect later, after they have fixed everything, pleased everyone, explained themselves to every person, answered every criticism, won every argument, repaired every relationship, and made every person understand their heart. But peace does not come after you give your life away to everyone else. Peace comes when you finally decide that not everything deserves access to your inner world. If you take everything personally, your peace will always be in danger, because the world will always give you something to react to. Someone will speak with the wrong tone. Someone will misunderstand your silence. Someone will judge your choices. Someone will not reply the way you hoped. Someone will act cold. Someone will criticize your effort. Someone will leave without explaining. Someone will make you feel unappreciated. If every one of these moments enters your heart as a personal wound, you will spend your life emotionally exhausted, not because every situation was powerful, but because you gave every situation permission to become powerful over you. Protecting your peace begins when you stop allowing every passing behavior to become a permanent disturbance inside your soul. Your peace must become more important than your need to be liked, because if being liked matters more than being peaceful, people will control you through approval. You will say yes when your heart is begging you to say no. You will remain silent when your dignity is asking for a boundary. You will over-explain when your spirit is asking for distance. You will keep showing up for people who keep draining you because you are afraid they will call you selfish. You will keep swallowing disrespect because you are afraid someone will misunderstand your self-respect. This is how people lose themselves slowly. They do not lose themselves all at once. They lose themselves every time they trade peace for acceptance. You must understand that not everyone deserves emotional access to you. Some people deserve kindness but not closeness. Some people deserve respect, but not intimacy. Some people deserve a polite answer, but not your private thoughts. Some people deserve forgiveness, but not another open door into your life. When your peace becomes sacred, you stop giving unlimited access to people simply because they are familiar, because they are emotional, because they are loud, because they are needy, or because they know how to make you feel guilty. You begin to understand that access to your heart, your time, your energy, and your attention is not automatic. It is earned through respect, consistency, honesty, and care. Many people lose their peace because they mistake tolerance for love. They think that if they love someone, they must tolerate everything from them. They tolerate disrespect. They tolerate inconsistency. They tolerate emotional games. They tolerate being used. They tolerate being ignored until needed. They tolerate broken promises, cold treatment, guilt, manipulation, and endless confusion. They call it patience, but often it is self-abandonment wearing a beautiful name. Real love should not require you to keep destroying yourself in order to prove that your heart is real. Real patience has wisdom. Real forgiveness has boundaries. Real kindness does not mean your peace becomes a place where careless people throw their pain. Protecting your peace will require you to stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. This is one of the hardest things to accept, because when your heart is sincere, you naturally want to be seen correctly. You want people to know what you meant. You want them to understand your intention. You want them to stop twisting your silence, your distance, your boundary, your growth, or your decision. But some people do not misunderstand because you were unclear. They misunderstand because their version of you serves their ego better than the truth would. They misunderstand because if they saw you clearly, they would have to admit how unfair they were. They misunderstand because they need you to be the problem so they do not have to face themselves. Explaining yourself to such people is like pouring clean water into a broken cup. No matter how much truth you give, they will not hold it properly. There is a deep peace in learning to let people be wrong about you. At first, it feels painful. Your mind wants to defend, your ego wants to correct, your heart wants to be understood. But eventually you realize that every explanation has a cost, and not every person deserves to be paid with your peace. Some people will believe what they want no matter what you say. Some people will reduce your entire story to the one piece that helps them judge you. Some people will hear your truth and still choose their assumption. When you accept this, you stop exhausting yourself trying to control the courtroom inside other people's minds. You simply return to your own life, your own character, your own growth, and your own peace. Protecting your peace also means learning to leave conversations that only create noise. Not every conversation is meant to be continued. Some conversations are not conversations at all. They are emotional traps. You speak, but the other person only wants to win. You explain, but they only want to twist. You ask for respect, but they accuse you of being too sensitive. You ask for clarity, but they create more confusion. You ask for peace, but they bring more drama. At some point, you must stop measuring maturity by how long you can endure emotional chaos. Sometimes maturity is knowing when the conversation is no longer healthy, no longer honest, no longer useful, and no longer worthy of your nervous system. A peaceful person is not someone who never faces conflict. A peaceful person is someone who chooses conflict wisely. They do not run from every difficult conversation, but they also do not enter every emotional battlefield. They know that some conversations can heal, while others only reopen wounds. They know that some people want understanding, while others only want control. They know that some moments require truth, while others require distance. This is wisdom. Peace does not mean avoiding all discomfort. Peace means refusing unnecessary destruction. It means you can face what needs to be faced without becoming addicted to drama. Many people believe peace is weak because peace does not shout. But peace is not weakness. Peace is one of the strongest forms of self-control. It takes strength to remain calm when your ego wants revenge. It takes strength to walk away when your pride wants the final word. It takes strength to choose silence when your pain wants to explain itself to someone who does not care. It takes strength to refuse a reaction when someone is clearly trying to provoke you. It takes strength to stop returning to places that once felt familiar but kept breaking your spirit. Do not let people convince you that peace is weakness simply because they only recognize power when it is loud. Your peace must become more important than winning arguments. This is difficult because the mind loves to win, the ego loves to prove, the wounded heart loves to say, "See, I was right." But ask yourself honestly, How many arguments have you won and still walked away feeling empty? How many times did you prove your point but lose your calm? How many times did you speak the perfect reply but still carry tension for hours? Some victories cost too much. Some arguments give you the satisfaction of being heard for a moment, but they take your peace for the rest of the day. A wiser person learns that not every point needs to be proven, not every false story needs to be corrected, and not every battle needs your attendance. Protecting your peace also means protecting your attention. Your attention is one of the main doors into your peace. What you keep watching, reading, listening to, discussing, and thinking about will eventually become part of your inner atmosphere. If you begin your day by consuming negativity, comparison, gossip, drama, fear, and other people's opinions, do not be surprised when your mind feels heavy. If you spend your nights replaying old pain, checking people's profiles, reading comments that disturb you, or feeding thoughts that make you insecure, do not be surprised when your heart cannot rest. Peace is not only disturbed by people standing in front of you, peace is also disturbed by what you repeatedly invite into your mind. You must become serious about the emotional diet of your life. People care deeply about what they eat because they know food affects the body, but many people are careless with what they feed the mind. They consume drama and expect calm. They consume comparison and expect confidence. They consume fear and expect courage. They consume shallow noise and expect deep peace. It does not work that way. Whatever you feed grows. If you feed your insecurity, it grows. If you feed your resentment, it grows. If you feed your overthinking, it grows. If you feed your peace, your discipline, your wisdom, and your self-respect, those things begin growing too. Protecting peace requires choosing what enters you. There are people who will disturb your peace and then blame you for reacting to the disturbance. They will disrespect you and then call you dramatic when you speak. They will cross boundaries and then call you cold when you create distance. They will bring chaos and then accuse you of changing when you no longer make room for it. You must become wise enough to see this pattern. People who benefit from your lack of peace will not always celebrate your healing. People who enjoyed your emotional availability will not always respect your boundaries. People who used to control you through guilt will not always understand your silence, but your healing cannot require their approval. Your peace cannot wait for permission from the very people who kept disturbing it. Sometimes protecting your peace will make you look like the villain in someone else's story. This is one of the hardest parts of growth. When you stop tolerating what you used to tolerate, people may not describe your change honestly. They may say you became distant, cold, arrogant, difficult, ungrateful, or selfish. They may leave out what happened before your boundary. They may forget the many times you tried, explained, forgave, waited, and absorbed pain quietly. They may only tell the part where you finally walked away. Let them. You cannot keep sacrificing your peace just to control how someone narrates your boundary. The people who need to know the truth will see it, and the people committed to misunderstanding you were never going to honor it anyway. Protecting your peace means learning to say no without writing a long emotional essay to justify it. No is a complete boundary when it is spoken with clarity. You do not always need to explain why your energy is unavailable, why your time is protected, why your heart needs distance, why your mind needs silence, or why you cannot keep participating in the same cycle. Some people do not want your explanation, they want loopholes. They want to find the weakness in your reason so they can pressure you again. When your no is connected to peace, it does not need to be decorated with guilt. It can be calm, respectful, and final. There is a version of you that is tired of living on emotional alert, tired of wondering who is upset, tired of reading between every line, tired of carrying everyone's mood, tired of replaying every conversation, tired of apologizing for having boundaries, tired of checking whether people are still pleased with you, tired of feeling responsible for every discomfort in the room. That version of you needs peace, not more explanations. It needs rest, not more emotional labor. It needs distance from chaos, not another reason to stay available. Listen to that version of you, because it is not weakness speaking. It is your soul asking to come home to itself. Many people do not protect their peace because they are afraid of silence. They keep noise around them because silence forces them to face what they feel. They keep toxic connections alive because being alone feels unfamiliar. They keep drama close because chaos feels like proof that something is happening. But silence is not your enemy. Silence is where your nervous system begins to recover. Silence is where you hear the truth without other people's voices covering it. Silence is where you finally ask, what do I actually need? What am I tired of carrying? What is this relationship doing to me? What kind of life am I creating by staying available to this? The answers that come in silence may be uncomfortable, but they are often the answers that save you. Peace requires you to stop returning to the same source of confusion expecting clarity. Some people are not confused about how they treat you. They are comfortable because you keep allowing access. Some patterns do not continue because they are mysterious. They continue because you keep reopening the door. If someone repeatedly breaks your peace, repeatedly ignores your boundaries, repeatedly makes you question your worth, repeatedly brings emotional heaviness into your life, then you must stop asking why you feel drained and begin asking why you keep staying close to what drains you. This question is not meant to blame you. It is meant to wake you up, because sometimes peace does not return by understanding the other person better. Sometimes peace returns by choosing yourself more seriously. You must also protect your peace from the habit of overthinking. Overthinking feels like problem solving, but many times it is only pain repeating itself in different sentences. You replay what they said, what they meant, what you should have said, what they might think, what could happen, why they changed, why they left, why they acted cold, why they misunderstood you. Your mind works all night, but nothing becomes clearer. You are not receiving answers, you are feeding anxiety. Protecting your peace means knowing when thought has stopped being useful and started becoming punishment. At some point you must tell your mind, I have thought about this enough. I choose rest now. Peace is protected by boundaries, but boundaries are only real when your behavior supports them. Many people announce boundaries but keep living like doors are still open. They say they are done, but they keep replying. They say they need peace, but they keep checking. They say they will not tolerate disrespect, but they return after every apology without change. They say they are focusing on themselves, but their attention still belongs to the person who hurt them. A boundary without action becomes a sentence people stop respecting. If peace is sacred, then your choices must prove it. People learn the value of your boundary by how consistently you protect it. This does not mean you must become harsh. You can protect your peace with grace. You can walk away without hatred. You can say no without cruelty. You can limit access without insulting anyone. You can choose silence without revenge. You can forgive without returning. You can care from a distance. You can love people and still refuse to keep living inside their chaos. This is important because many people believe the only options are being too soft or too cold, but there is another way. Be kind and firm, gentle and wise, loving and unavailable to destruction. That balance is where real maturity lives. Your peace must also be protected from your own ego. Sometimes the threat to your peace is not another person's behavior. Sometimes it is your need to be right, your need to be chosen, your need to be praised, your need to be seen as good, your need to have the final word, your need to win, your need to control the outcome, your need to make people regret losing you. These needs may feel justified, but they can become chains. A peaceful person learns to release the need to control everything. They understand that life becomes lighter when they stop demanding that every story ends with them being understood, admired, apologized to, or validated. There is a deep freedom in accepting that some things will remain unresolved, and you can still be okay. Some apologies will never come. Some people will never admit what they did. Some conversations will never give closure. Some questions will remain unanswered. Some endings will feel unfair. If your peace depends on every loose end being tied perfectly, you will suffer for a long time. But when you learn to create closure through acceptance, wisdom, and self-respect, you take back power. You stop waiting for someone else to unlock the door to your peace. You realize the door was already inside you. Protecting peace also requires choosing better environments. Your environment is not neutral. It shapes your mood, your habits, your thinking, and your emotional rhythm. If you stay around people who gossip, complain, mock growth, celebrate drama, disrespect boundaries, or live in constant negativity, your peace will have to fight every day. If you keep your space messy, your routines unstable, your mornings noisy, and your nights filled with mental clutter, peace becomes harder to maintain. A peaceful life is not created only in the mind. It is supported by the places you enter, the routines you keep, the people you allow, and the habits you repeat. As you grow, you should begin designing your life in a way that makes peace more possible. Give yourself quiet mornings when you can. Give yourself space before reacting. Give yourself time away from screens. Give yourself honest conversations with trustworthy people. Give yourself routines that calm your body. Give yourself goals that give your mind direction. Give yourself distance from repeated chaos. Give yourself permission to rest without guilt. These choices may look small, but small, peaceful choices repeated over time become a different life. Some people will not understand your peace because they are addicted to conflict. They may think something is wrong when you no longer engage. They may try to pull you back into old patterns. They may test your boundary, mock your calm, or call your silence weakness. But you must remember that you are not building peace to impress people who love noise. You are building peace because your life deserves to feel safe inside your own body. You are building peace because your future needs your energy. You are building peace because your mind was not created to be a battlefield for every careless person's behavior. There will be days when protecting your peace feels lonely. You may miss the old connections even if they drained you. You may feel tempted to answer, return, explain, or reopen a door because silence feels heavy. But do not confuse missing something with needing it back. You can miss a person and still know they are not healthy for you. You can miss a season and still know you outgrew it. You can miss the comfort of familiarity and still choose the discomfort of healing. Peace is not always easy in the beginning because your nervous system may be used to chaos. Calm can feel strange when chaos has been your normal, but stay with it. Calm becomes home when you stop running back to what disturbed you. Protecting your peace is also an act of self-respect. It tells your mind, I will not keep placing you in situations that destroy you. It tells your heart, I will not keep handing you to people who mishandle you. It tells your body, I will not keep making you live in stress because I am afraid to disappoint others. It tells your future, I will not keep wasting the energy you need. This is powerful because peace is not only a feeling, peace is proof that you have started treating yourself like someone worth protecting. When you stop taking everything personally, peace becomes easier to protect because you no longer interpret every outside action as an inside verdict. Someone can be rude and you do not have to become wounded. Someone can misunderstand you and you do not have to panic. Someone can reject you and you do not have to collapse. Someone can criticize you, and you do not have to turn it into identity. Someone can act from their own pain, and you do not have to adopt that pain as your own. This is not numbness. This is emotional freedom. It is the ability to remain connected to yourself, even when others are disconnected from wisdom. The strongest peace is not the peace that exists only when life is easy. The strongest peace is the peace you learn to protect when people are difficult, when situations are unfair, when emotions are loud, when old triggers appear, and when your ego wants to react. That kind of peace is not accidental. It is trained, it is chosen, it is protected through boundaries, pauses, awareness, silence, discipline, and the courage to let some things pass without entering your heart. As this chapter closes, remember this truth deeply. Your peace is sacred because your life is sacred. You cannot build a strong future with a mind that is constantly disturbed by every opinion, every silence, every rejection, every misunderstanding, and every emotional storm around you. You cannot focus on yourself while handing your nervous system to people who do not know how to handle it with care. You cannot become powerful while treating your peace like something optional. From this moment forward, protect it. Protect it from noise. Protect it from drama. Protect it from your own overthinking. Protect it from people who only bring confusion. Protect it from the need to be understood by everyone. Protect it from the old version of you that thought love meant unlimited access. Your peace is not for sale, not for argument, not for approval, not for temporary attention, and not for people who only notice its value after they have disturbed it. Protect your peace like it is sacred, because once you learn to protect it, you stop taking everything personally and start living like your inner world finally belongs to you. Chapter 5. Focus on yourself instead of studying their behavior. The fifth lesson of this audiobook is a lesson that can save years of your life. Focus on yourself instead of spending your strongest energy studying other people's behavior. Many people say they want peace, growth, confidence, success, healing, and self-respect, but every day their mind is still occupied by someone else. They wonder why that person changed, why they replied late, why they acted cold, why they did not choose them, why they stopped caring, why they looked happy without them, why they misunderstood them, why they ignored their effort, why they gave attention to someone else, and why they did not value what was offered with sincerity. While the mind is busy investigating another person, the self is being abandoned quietly. Your own life stands waiting in the background, while your attention keeps chasing answers from people who may not even have the maturity to explain themselves. When you take everything personally, you start becoming a full-time student of other people's moods. You study tone like it is a secret language. You study silence like it is a message. You study facial expressions like they are evidence. You study online activity, old conversations, small changes, pauses, replies, distance, and every tiny shift in energy until your mind becomes exhausted from trying to understand what another person is doing. But the deeper question is not always, why are they acting like this? Sometimes the deeper question is, why have I made their behavior the center of my inner world? Because the moment someone else's actions become the main subject of your thoughts, your own growth begins losing the attention it deserves. There is a painful kind of self-betrayal that happens when you care more about understanding someone else than understanding yourself. You keep asking why they changed, but you do not ask why their change has so much power over you. You keep asking why they did not reply, but you do not ask why one reply has become the key to your peace. You keep asking why they ignored you, but you do not ask why you keep giving your best energy to someone who makes you feel invisible. You keep asking whether they miss you, but you do not ask whether you miss the version of yourself you were before you gave them so much control over your emotions. This is where real healing begins, not when you finally decode them, but when you finally return to yourself. Focusing on yourself is not selfish. It is not cold. It is not arrogance. It is survival for a person who has spent too long living inside other people's reactions. Focusing on yourself means you finally decide that your peace deserves more attention than someone's inconsistency. Your discipline deserves more energy than someone's mixed signals. Your future deserves more time than someone's emotional confusion. Your healing deserves more care than someone's silence. Your purpose deserves more devotion than the endless analysis of why someone did not treat you correctly. You are not here to become an expert in the behavior of people who drain you. You are here to become an expert in rebuilding your own life. Many people do not realize how much time they lose thinking about people who are not thinking about them with the same intensity. You may spend hours replaying a conversation while they have already moved on with their day. You may spend the night wondering what their silence means while they are sleeping peacefully. You may spend weeks trying to understand why they changed while they never even ask what their behavior did to your heart. This is not peace. This is emotional overinvestment. This is giving your life energy to a place that gives nothing healthy back. And the longer you continue, the more your own life begins to feel delayed, because your attention is trapped somewhere it cannot build anything useful. The dangerous thing about studying other people too much is that it creates the illusion of control. Your mind tells you that if you analyze enough, you will understand. If you understand enough, you will feel safe. If you feel safe, you will stop hurting. But often, analysis does not bring safety. It brings more questions. You notice one thing, then search for another. You find one answer, then doubt it. You create one explanation, then imagine 10 others. Overthinking becomes a maze that promises clarity, but keeps leading you back into confusion. Sometimes the peace you are looking for will not come from understanding their behavior. It will come from deciding that their behavior no longer deserves unlimited access to your attention. You must stop chasing certainty from uncertain people. Some people are not consistent enough to give you peace. Some people are not honest enough to give you closure. Some people are not mature enough to explain what they feel. Some people are not self-aware enough to understand why they hurt others. Some people are not brave enough to tell the truth. If you keep waiting for emotionally unstable people to give you emotional stability, you will suffer. If you keep waiting for confused people to give you clarity, you will remain confused. If you keep waiting for people who avoid responsibility to explain their actions properly, you may keep waiting while your life keeps passing. Focusing on yourself means you stop begging another person's behavior to become the answer to your pain. You begin asking better questions. What is this teaching me about my boundaries? What is this showing me about my attachment? What pattern am I repeating? Why do I keep giving access to people who make me feel uncertain? Why does their distance feel like a judgment against my worth? What part of me still believes I must be chosen by them in order to feel valuable? These questions are not easy, but they are powerful because they bring your attention back to the place where change is possible. You cannot control whether someone becomes honest, consistent, respectful, or caring. But you can control whether you keep building your peace around their instability. One of the strongest signs of self-respect is when you stop trying to make sense of behavior that has already shown you enough. People often reveal the truth through patterns long before they explain it through words. If someone repeatedly makes you feel unwanted, that is information. If someone repeatedly gives you confusion, that is information. If someone repeatedly takes your kindness but gives little care in return, that is information. If someone only appears when they need something, that is information. If someone respects you only when you are leaving, that is information. You do not need to keep reopening the investigation when the pattern has already testified. Sometimes the answer is not hidden. Sometimes you simply do not like what the answer requires you to do. The mind may want one more conversation, one more explanation, one more apology, one more sign, one more chance to prove that the person can become who you hoped they were. But focusing on yourself means you stop feeding hope that is not supported by action. Hope can be beautiful when it is connected to truth, effort, and change. But hope becomes dangerous when it is used to ignore reality. You can hope someone grows, but you should not keep bleeding while waiting. You can hope someone understands, but you should not destroy your peace trying to force their understanding. You can hope someone becomes better, but you should not pause your own life until they do. When you focus on yourself, you begin to understand that your attention is one of your most valuable assets. Attention is life energy. Where your attention goes, your emotions follow. Where your emotions go, your decisions follow. Where your decisions go, your future follows. If your attention keeps going towards someone who confuses you, your emotions will keep becoming unstable. If your emotions keep becoming unstable, your decisions will keep coming from fear, attachment, insecurity, or pain. If your decisions keep coming from those places, your future will keep repeating old cycles. This is why focus is not a small thing. It is the direction of your life being chosen in real time. You cannot build a powerful life while constantly staring at the door someone walked out of. You cannot build confidence while checking whether someone noticed your absence. You cannot build discipline while your mind is occupied by emotional guessing. You cannot build peace while waiting for another person to change their tone. You cannot build self-respect while studying the behavior of people who make you feel small. At some point, you must turn around. You must stop facing the person who disturbed you and start facing the life that still needs you. Your future is asking for your attention, and it cannot receive it while you keep giving your mind to people who only create emotional noise. Focusing on yourself means returning to the basics with seriousness. Your body needs your care. Your mind needs your discipline. Your goals need your time. Your heart needs your protection. Your environment needs your attention. Your habits need your correction. Your future needs your energy. These things may not create the same emotional drama as another person's mixed signals, but they create the foundation of a life you can actually respect. Many people avoid focusing on themselves because self-work is quieter than emotional obsession. It requires discipline. It requires honesty. It requires patience. It requires looking at your own patterns instead of only blaming others for triggering them. But this quiet work is where real power is built. There is nothing powerful about knowing every detail of someone else's behavior while being disconnected from your own life. You may know when they are online, who they speak to, what they posted, what they liked, how they changed, what they might be feeling, and what their silence might mean. But do you know what your future requires from you this week? Do you know what habit is weakening you? Do you know what skill you need to improve? Do you know what boundary you need to set? Do you know what routine would make you stronger? Do you know what part of you still needs healing? If you know everything about them but very little about the version of yourself you are meant to become, then your attention has been stolen. The more you study their behavior, the more you may lose your own identity. You start dressing your mood according to what they do. If they reply warmly, you feel valuable. If they act distant, you feel anxious. If they praise you, you feel confident. If they ignore you, you feel invisible. If they choose you, you feel alive. If they withdraw, you feel empty. This is not love. This is emotional dependence. A healthy connection can add joy to your life, but it should not become the remote control for your self-worth. Focusing on yourself means taking that remote control back and refusing to let your identity rise and fall with another person's behavior. You must become honest about the fact that sometimes you study people because you are afraid to accept what you already know. If you admit that their behavior is not healthy, you may have to create distance. If you admit they do not respect you, you may have to stop giving access. If you admit they are inconsistent, you may have to stop waiting. If you admit they cannot love you properly, you may have to grieve the version of them you created in your mind. This is why people often choose analysis over acceptance. Analysis keeps the door open. Acceptance closes the chapter. Analysis says, maybe there is another explanation. Acceptance says, the pattern is enough. Acceptance can hurt, but it also gives your life back. When you accept that someone is not showing up for you, you stop waiting at the emotional door. When you accept that someone is not safe for your peace, you stop trying to decorate the danger. When you accept that someone's behavior is their responsibility, you stop turning it into your identity. When you accept that you cannot force people to see your worth, you stop performing for blind eyes. Acceptance is not weakness. Acceptance is the moment your mind stops fighting reality and starts building freedom. Focusing on yourself also means refusing to let someone else's lack of growth delay your own. Some people remain stuck because they are emotionally tied to someone who is not changing. They keep waiting for that person to mature, apologize, understand, come back, choose them, or become clear, while their own life remains suspended. But your growth cannot wait for another person's awakening. Your healing cannot wait for their apology. Your peace cannot wait for their explanation. Your future cannot wait for them to decide whether they value you. You must move forward even if they never become the person you hoped they would become. There is a quiet strength in saying, I do not understand everything they did, but I will not keep sacrificing myself trying to understand it. That sentence is freedom. You do not need to know every reason in order to choose peace. You do not need every detail in order to protect your heart. You do not need every hidden truth in order to stop returning to what hurts. Sometimes you only need to know how something makes you feel repeatedly. Sometimes you only need to know that your peace disappears around it. Sometimes you only need to know that the version of you connected to it is smaller, sadder, more anxious, and less alive. That is enough information to begin choosing differently. Many people think focusing on themselves means becoming selfish and forgetting others, but true self-focus actually makes you healthier for everyone. When you stop obsessing over other people's behavior, you become less reactive. When you become less reactive, you communicate better. When you protect your peace, you stop spreading your pain into every room. When you build discipline, you become more reliable. When you heal your wounds, you stop making innocent people responsible for old injuries. When you know your worth, you stop begging others to prove it. Focusing on yourself is not about becoming isolated from the world. It is about becoming whole enough to enter the world without constantly bleeding on it. You must stop confusing emotional intensity with importance. Just because someone occupies your mind does not mean they deserve your life. Just because a situation creates anxiety does not mean it deserves priority. Just because someone triggers you does not mean they should become your focus. Sometimes the things that consume your mind are not meaningful. They are simply unresolved. They are loud because they are unhealed, not because they are worthy. A wise person learns to separate what is emotionally loud from what is truly important. Your purpose may be quieter than your pain, but your purpose deserves more of you. If you want to focus on yourself, begin by creating distance from the things that keep pulling your attention backward. This may mean you stop checking their page, stop rereading old messages, stop asking mutual people about them, stop creating imaginary conversations, stop waiting for signs, stop measuring your worth by their response, and stop feeding your mind with reminders that reopen the wound. Healing requires fewer openings. You cannot keep touching the wound every day and then wonder why it does not close. You cannot keep inviting the past into your present and then ask why your future feels delayed. Replace the habit of studying them with the habit of studying yourself. Study your triggers, study your goals, study your discipline, study your emotional patterns, study your needs, study your boundaries, study your thoughts, study the moments where you lose yourself, study what gives you energy and what takes it away, study what makes you feel alive and what makes you feel small. This kind of study creates wisdom. This kind of attention gives power back to you. When you become curious about your own growth, other people's behavior starts losing the throne in your mind. There is a version of you waiting on the other side of self-focus that you have not fully met yet. A calmer version, a stronger version, a more disciplined version, a version who does not fall apart when someone changes, a version who does not chase people who bring confusion, a version who does not personalize every silence, a version who does not need constant reassurance to feel worthy, a version who wakes up and asks, "What can I build today?" instead of "What do they think of me today?" That version is not built by accident. It is built by where you place your attention. The people who hurt you may never fully understand what they did. The people who misunderstood you may never correct their version. The people who left may never return with the apology you wanted. The people who ignored your value may never learn how to speak about it properly. But your life can still become beautiful. Your future can still become powerful. Your peace can still return. Your confidence can still grow. Your purpose can still rise. Their lack of understanding does not have to become the end of your growth. You can build a life so meaningful that one day you realize you no longer need them to explain why they could not value the old one. Focusing on yourself means choosing your life over your obsession, your future over your overthinking, your healing over your attachment, your discipline over your emotional addiction, your peace over your need to understand every careless person. It means you stop standing outside the door of someone else's heart, waiting for permission to feel enough. It means you come back to your own home inside yourself and start repairing what was neglected while you were busy trying to be understood, chosen, valued, or missed by someone else. As this chapter closes, remember this truth deeply. Every minute you spend obsessing over someone else's behavior is a minute taken from the life you are meant to build. You do not have unlimited time, unlimited energy, or unlimited emotional strength. You must choose where your life goes. Let people reveal themselves. Let patterns speak. Let silence teach you. Let distance show you what closeness was hiding. But do not lose yourself studying people who are not studying how to treat you better. Return to yourself. Return to your discipline. Return to your healing. Return to your purpose. Return to your peace. The more you focus on yourself, the less personally you take the behavior of people who were never meant to define you. Chapter 6. Learn the difference between feedback and poison. The 6th lesson of this audiobook is one of the most important lessons for protecting your peace. Learn the difference between feedback and poison, because not every word spoken to you deserves a home inside your heart. Many people take everything personally because they do not know how to separate useful correction from harmful criticism. They hear one sentence and absorb it completely. They hear one opinion and carry it like a wound. They hear one judgment and treat it like a final truth about their identity. They do not ask where the words came from, what spirit was behind them, whether the person speaking truly wanted to help them grow, or whether the words were only designed to shame, weaken, control, or confuse them. When you cannot tell the difference between feedback and poison, you either reject every correction out of pride or accept every insult as truth, and both paths can damage your life. Feedback is different from poison. Feedback may be uncomfortable, but its purpose is growth. Poison may also sound strong, but its purpose is damage. Feedback can challenge you while still respecting your humanity. Poison attacks your worth and calls it honesty. Feedback points toward improvement. Poison points toward shame. Feedback gives you something to work on. Poison leaves you feeling smaller, heavier, confused, and emotionally bruised without giving you a clear path forward. Feedback may correct your behavior, your habit, your decision, or your approach, but poison tries to make you believe there is something permanently wrong with who you are. This difference matters deeply because if you keep treating poison like truth, your confidence will slowly become infected by voices that were never meant to guide you. As you become stronger, you must stop allowing every person to speak with authority over your life. Not every voice is qualified to correct you. Not every opinion is wise. Not every criticism is honest. Not every person who says, "I am just telling you the truth," is actually telling the truth. Some people use truth as a weapon because they do not know how to communicate with love. Some people use criticism as a way to feel superior. Some people attack your confidence because your growth makes them uncomfortable. Some people call you weak because they do not understand sensitivity. Some people call you proud because you finally built boundaries. Some people call you selfish because you stopped being available for their emotional needs. If you take these words personally without examining them, you may begin believing lies spoken by people who were never looking at you clearly in the first place. You must learn to ask, is this word here to build me, or is it here to break me? That question can protect your mind from unnecessary suffering. A person who truly gives feedback may speak firmly, but there is usually some form of care, clarity, fairness, or direction in what they say. They may tell you that your behavior needs to improve, but they do not try to destroy your dignity. They may tell you that you made a mistake, but they do not make you feel like your entire life is a mistake. They may point out a weakness, but they do not enjoy making you feel weak. Poison is different. Poison is often full of exaggeration, humiliation, comparison, sarcasm, cruelty, contempt, or emotional manipulation. Poison does not only say, "You did something wrong." Poison says, "You are wrong. You are nothing. You will never change. You are not enough." That is not correction. That is an attack wearing the mask of truth. There are people who criticize you not because they see your potential, but because they cannot tolerate your progress. This is one of the hardest truths to accept, because many negative voices sound confident, and confidence can fool you into thinking they must be right. A jealous person may speak with confidence, a bitter person may speak with confidence, a controlling person may speak with confidence, a person who has never built the thing you are trying to build may still speak with confidence about why you cannot do it. Confidence in someone's tone does not always mean truth in someone's words. You must become wise enough to test the fruit of a voice before you let it enter your soul. Does this voice make me wiser, or only more afraid? Does it give me clarity, or only confusion? Does it point me toward growth, or only make me feel ashamed? Does it correct me with care, or does it use my weakness as a place to strike? Many people have been damaged because they accepted poison from people they loved. This is painful because when the words come from someone close, they enter more deeply. A stranger's criticism may hurt for a moment, but a loved one's criticism can live inside you for years if you do not learn how to process it wisely. Maybe someone in your family called you useless. Maybe someone you trusted made you feel stupid for dreaming. Maybe someone you loved compared you to others until you began feeling behind in your own life. Maybe someone laughed at your weakness instead of helping you strengthen it. Maybe someone used your mistakes as proof that you would never become better. Those words may have sounded personal because they came from people close to you, but closeness does not automatically make someone's words true. People can be close to you and still be speaking from their own wounds, ignorance, fear, bitterness, or limited understanding. You must stop treating painful words as truth simply because they came from familiar mouths. Some people raised you with their fear, not their wisdom. Some people criticized you from their pain, not their clarity. Some people tried to make you small because they never learned how to become large inside themselves. Some people called it guidance when it was really control. Some people called it honesty when it was really emotional carelessness. If you never examine the words that shaped you, you may spend your whole life living under sentences that were spoken in someone else's brokenness. Healing begins when you start asking whether the voice you keep obeying actually belongs to truth or only belongs to an old wound. Feedback becomes powerful when it comes from someone who cares about your growth more than their ego. A person who gives real feedback does not need to crush you to correct you. They do not need to embarrass you to teach you. They do not need to compare you to make you improve. They do not need to make you afraid in order to make you responsible. They may be honest, but their honesty has direction. They want you to rise, not disappear into shame. They want you to understand, not collapse. They want you to improve, not hate yourself. When you receive this kind of feedback, do not reject it simply because it feels uncomfortable. Sometimes the words that help you grow are not soft, but they are clean. They may sting because they touch truth, but they do not poison your spirit. This is where maturity becomes important. Some people are so wounded by criticism that they reject every correction as negativity. The moment someone tells them something they do not want to hear, they say, "They are jealous, they are toxic, they do not understand me." But not every uncomfortable word is poison. Sometimes you truly need to improve. Sometimes your behavior did hurt someone. Sometimes your discipline is weak. Sometimes your communication is immature. Sometimes your pride is blocking your growth. Sometimes your habits are creating the same pain you keep blaming on life. If you reject all feedback because it threatens your ego, you may protect your feelings for a moment, but lose your future over time. A wise person does not collapse under correction, but they also do not run from it. The goal is not to become untouchable. The goal is to become discerning. Discernment means you can hear words without immediately swallowing them whole. You can listen, examine, filter, and decide what belongs inside you and what must be left outside. You can hear criticism and ask, "Is there any truth here?" If there is truth, you take the lesson without taking the shame. If there is no truth, you release the words without building a wound. This is emotional maturity. You do not need to defend yourself against every voice, but you also do not need to surrender your identity to every voice. You become a gatekeeper of your inner world. One of the most dangerous things about poison is that it often enters through repetition. One insult may hurt, but repeated insults can become an inner voice. If someone repeatedly tells you that you are not good enough, eventually you may begin saying it to yourself. If someone repeatedly mocks your effort, eventually you may begin hiding your ambition. If someone repeatedly shames your sensitivity, eventually you may begin rejecting your own heart. If someone repeatedly calls you difficult, eventually you may begin apologizing for having needs. This is how poison spreads. It does not only hurt you in the moment, it can become the language your mind uses against you long after the person is gone. You must become careful about the words you allow to repeat around you. Words are not small. Words can become beliefs. Beliefs can become emotions. Emotions can become decisions, and decisions can become the direction of your life. If you keep sitting with people who speak fear into you, you may begin living afraid. If you keep listening to people who mock growth, you may begin feeling ashamed of your dreams. If you keep allowing people to insult your worth, you may begin lowering your standards because you believe you deserve less. Protecting yourself from poisonous words is not weakness. It is wisdom. You cannot keep drinking from bitter wells and wonder why your inner life tastes heavy. There is a difference between someone who tells you the truth and someone who uses truth to hurt you. This difference is subtle but powerful. A healthy person may say, "You need to work on this area because it is hurting you." A poisonous person may say, "This is why nobody can deal with you." A healthy person may say, "That decision was not wise." A poisonous person may say, "You always ruin everything." A healthy person may say, "You can do better." A poisonous person may say, "You will never be better." One voice points toward growth. The other traps you in identity. One voice separates your mistake from your worth. The other turns your mistake into your name. When you receive feedback, you must also examine your own reaction. Sometimes your heart becomes defensive, not because the words are poisonous, but because they are accurate. Truth can feel like an attack when pride is protecting a weakness. If someone tells you that you are inconsistent, and deep down you know you keep breaking promises, your first reaction may be anger. If someone tells you that you are too reactive, and deep down you know you often speak from emotion, your first reaction may be denial. If someone tells you that you avoid responsibility, and deep down you know you make excuses, your first reaction may be blame. This is why wisdom requires humility. Not every sting means poison. Sometimes the sting is truth touching an area you have avoided. But even when feedback is true, you still have the right to receive it in a respectful way. Truth does not require cruelty to be effective. You can accept the lesson while rejecting the disrespectful delivery. You can say, "There may be something I need to improve, but I do not receive the insult attached to it." This is a powerful way to live because it keeps you open to growth without becoming available to emotional abuse. You do not have to choose between being teachable and being self-respecting. You can be both. You can listen with humility and still protect your dignity. Some people will try to make you feel guilty for filtering their words. They will say you are too sensitive when you stop accepting disrespect. They will say you cannot handle the truth when you reject cruelty. They will say, "I am only helping you," while their words leave you feeling damaged, confused, and ashamed. Do not be fooled by labels. Help should not feel like humiliation. Honesty should not feel like emotional violence. Correction should not destroy your sense of humanity. If someone's words consistently leave you feeling worthless rather than wiser, that is not healthy correction. That is poison, and you are allowed to stop drinking it. You must learn to protect your mind from opinions spoken by people who do not live with the consequences of your choices. There will always be people who have something to say about your path, your dreams, your relationships, your boundaries, your growth, and your decisions. But they are not the ones who will wake up in your life every morning. They will not carry the regret of your unused potential. They will not live inside the body that becomes tired from people-pleasing. They will not feel the emptiness of the dream you abandoned because they laughed. They will not pay the emotional cost of the life you refuse to build because their opinion frightened you. So why would you give their words full control over your direction? A wise person takes counsel seriously, but not every comment is counsel. Counsel comes from wisdom, experience, care, and perspective. Comments come from impulse, mood, bias, jealousy, ignorance, or the need to say something. Do not confuse the two. Some people deserve a seat at the table of your decisions because they have earned trust through wisdom and sincerity. Other people only deserve to be heard from a distance, and some should not be allowed into your decision-making process at all. Your life becomes more peaceful when you stop treating every opinion like guidance. The more you grow, the more you must expect criticism. Growth makes you visible. Change makes people react. Boundaries make people uncomfortable. Ambition makes people talk. Peace makes chaotic people suspicious. Confidence makes insecure people defensive. When you begin becoming stronger, not everyone will clap. Some will question you because they do not understand the new version of you. Some will criticize you because your improvement exposes their lack of movement. Some will say you changed because they preferred who you were when you were easier to access. If you take all of this personally, you may return to a smaller version of yourself just to be accepted again. Do not do that. Do not shrink because someone else is uncomfortable with your growth. At the same time, do not become addicted to praise. Praise can become poison too if you depend on it too deeply. Compliments feel good, but if your peace depends on compliments, then your peace will collapse when compliments disappear. Approval can encourage you, but if approval becomes your foundation, then criticism will destroy you. A strong person appreciates praise but does not worship it. They can receive encouragement without becoming dependent on applause. They can enjoy being understood without needing everyone to understand. They can be grateful for kindness without building their identity on it. This is important because the same outside world that praises you today may criticize you tomorrow. Your foundation must be deeper than both. The healthiest relationship with words is this: take what helps you grow, reject what tries to destroy you, and do not let either praise or criticism become your God. If someone corrects you with truth, learn. If someone attacks you with poison, release. If someone praises you, be grateful but remain grounded. If someone misunderstands you, stay peaceful. If someone judges you unfairly, let your character continue speaking through your life. You do not need to absorb everything. You do not need to react to everything. You do not need to personalize everything. You need to become wise enough to know what deserves entry. There will be times when poisonous words activate an old belief you already carry. Someone calls you unworthy, and it hurts because you already secretly fear that you are. Someone calls you weak, and it hurts because you have been ashamed of your sensitivity. Someone calls you a failure, and it hurts because you have been measuring yourself against others. This is where the work becomes deeper. The reason their words entered so easily may be because there was already an open wound inside. Do not only blame the person who spoke, heal the place where the words attached themselves. When your inner wounds heal, poisonous words lose their hooks. You must replace poisoned inner language with truthful inner language. If someone planted the sentence, "I am not enough," you must begin practicing the truth. "I am growing, and my worth is not cancelled by my imperfections." If someone planted the sentence, "I will never succeed," you must begin practicing the truth. "My future is built by discipline, not by their prediction." If someone planted the sentence, "Nobody will value me," you must begin practicing the truth. "Their inability to value me does not define what I am worth." This is not empty positive thinking. This is mental correction. You are removing false words from the throne of your mind. Feedback should make you responsible, not hopeless. If a word leaves you with a clear area to improve, that can be useful. If a word leaves you feeling like your entire existence is wrong, that is dangerous. Real growth does not require self-hatred. In fact, self-hatred often blocks growth because it makes you feel too ashamed to move. Responsibility says, "I can do better." Shame says, "I am nothing." Responsibility creates action, shame creates hiding. Responsibility helps you repair, shame makes you collapse. Whenever you receive criticism, ask whether it is producing responsibility or shame. Keep the responsibility, reject the shame. As you become emotionally stronger, you will begin noticing that some words no longer enter you the same way. The same kind of criticism that once ruined your week may only teach you for a moment. The same kind of insult that once made you question your worth may now reveal more about the speaker than about you. The same kind of judgment that once made you desperate to explain yourself may now pass by without controlling your day. This is not because you became cold. It is because your inner foundation became stronger. A strong foundation does not stop the wind from blowing, but it stops the house from collapsing every time the wind arrives. Your peace will increase when you stop needing every person to speak gently before you remain grounded. The world will not always speak with wisdom. People will not always be careful. Some will be harsh, some will be careless, some will be unfair, some will misunderstand. Some will speak from ego, envy, anger, or fear. You cannot control every tongue, but you can control the gate of your heart. You can decide what enters deeply and what stays outside. You can decide what becomes a lesson and what becomes nothing more than noise. You can decide that your identity is not available for every voice to rewrite. One of the most powerful things you can do is slow down before believing painful words. Pain makes words feel true. If someone says something cruel and it hurts, your mind may assume it hurts because it is true, but sometimes it hurts because it touches fear, not truth. Sometimes it hurts because it resembles an old wound, not because it reveals your identity. Sometimes it hurts because you cared about the person speaking, not because their words were accurate. Pain is not proof of truth. Pain is proof that something inside you was touched. Before you build a belief from someone's words, give yourself time. Let the emotions settle. Examine the source. Look for evidence. Ask whether wisdom is present. Do not crown a sentence as truth only because it hurt. You must also stop repeating poisonous words to yourself. Some people hear one insult from someone else and then continue the insult for years inside their own mind. The person who spoke may have moved on, but you keep the poison alive through repetition. You say it to yourself when you fail. You say it to yourself when you look in the mirror. You say it to yourself when you try something new. You say it to yourself when someone leaves. This is how outside poison becomes internal poison. Healing requires you to stop becoming the echo of the people who hurt you. Do not keep injuring yourself with words they should never have spoken. The words you choose for yourself matter. Speak to yourself with truth, not lies, with firmness, not cruelty, with hope, not denial, with responsibility, not shame. Say, I need to improve, not I am worthless. Say, I made a mistake, not I am a failure. Say, I am learning, not I will never change. Say, this hurt me, not this defines me. The way you speak to yourself after criticism will decide whether that criticism becomes a teacher or a prison. As this chapter closes, remember this truth deeply. Feedback is a tool, but poison is a trap. Feedback can help you become better, but poison wants you to become smaller. Feedback may correct your direction, but poison tries to destroy your identity. Feedback can be received with humility, but poison must be rejected with wisdom. Do not take every word personally. Do not swallow every criticism. Do not worship every opinion. Do not reject every correction out of pride. But do not accept every insult out of insecurity. Learn what builds you. Learn what breaks you. Keep the lesson. Reject the shame. Protect your heart. Strengthen your mind. Because the day you learn the difference between feedback and poison is the day people's words stop controlling your peace and your identity begins belonging to you again. Chapter 7. Become so grounded that people can no longer move you easily. The final lesson of this audiobook is the lesson that brings everything together. Become so grounded that people can no longer move you easily. This is the place where peace becomes more than an idea. Self-respect becomes more than a sentence, and emotional strength becomes something people can feel in the way you carry yourself. A grounded person is not someone who never gets hurt, never feels pressure, never feels disappointment, never feels rejected, and never feels misunderstood. A grounded person is someone who has built such a strong connection with their own values, identity, purpose, and inner truth that outside behavior no longer has unlimited power to pull them out of themselves. They still feel, but they do not fall apart every time the world becomes difficult. They still care, but they do not surrender their peace to every opinion, silence, mood, rejection, or careless word around them. To become grounded means you stop living like your emotions are leaves in the wind. It means you no longer allow every person's reaction to become the weather inside your heart. It means one person's criticism does not become your identity. One person's distance does not become your self-doubt. One person's rejection does not become your collapse. And one person's misunderstanding does not become a full-time battle to prove who you are. Many people live ungrounded because their inner world has no strong roots. Their confidence depends on praise, their peace depends on attention, their mood depends on replies, their worth depends on being chosen, and their direction depends on approval. This is why they are so easy to move. The outside world only has to change slightly, and their entire inner world shakes. A grounded person is different because they have roots. Their roots are not in applause, not in popularity, not in temporary validation, not in being liked by everyone, not in proving themselves in every room, and not in being perfectly understood by every person. Their roots are in what they know to be true about themselves. Their roots are in discipline, their roots are in self-respect, their roots are in character, their roots are in the promises they keep privately, their roots are in the peace they have fought to protect. Their roots are in the purpose they are building even when nobody is clapping. This is why they do not bend easily when someone speaks wrongly about them. They may hear it, they may feel it, but they do not become it. When you are not grounded, other people's emotions become your assignment. If someone is angry, you panic. If someone is cold, you chase. If someone is disappointed, you feel responsible. If someone misunderstands you, you rush to explain yourself until you are empty. If someone judges you, you begin editing your personality to become more acceptable. If someone withdraws attention, you start wondering what is wrong with you. This is how you lose your center. You stop asking, what is true, and start asking, how do I make them feel better about me? You stop living from values and start living from reaction. You become emotionally available to every shift in someone else's mood. Becoming grounded means you stop making other people's inner condition your identity. If someone is bitter, that is their bitterness. If someone is jealous, that is their jealousy. If someone is immature, that is their immaturity. If someone is careless with words, that is their lack of discipline. If someone cannot value you, that is their limited vision. If someone chooses to misunderstand you, that is their decision. You can learn from situations, you can take responsibility when something truly belongs to you, but you must stop becoming responsible for the entire emotional world of people who have not learned how to manage themselves. Their storm is not always your fault. Their reaction is not always your truth. Their inability to hold peace does not mean you must drop yours. A grounded person has learned the power of inner separation. They can stand near someone's anger without absorbing it. They can hear someone's opinion without becoming it. They can receive criticism without collapsing into shame. They can experience rejection without turning it into self-hatred. They can be misunderstood without feeling forced to spend their whole life correcting the misunderstanding. This is not easy, but it is powerful. It means you have created a boundary inside your mind that says, I can observe what is happening without letting it take over who I am. That inner boundary is one of the strongest forms of freedom. Many people think strength means becoming hard, unreachable, and emotionally closed, but being grounded is not the same as becoming cold. A cold person shuts down because they are afraid to feel. A grounded person remains open, but does not lose themselves in what they feel. A cold person avoids connection. A grounded person chooses connection wisely. A cold person uses distance to punish. A grounded person uses distance to protect peace. A cold person says, "I do not care," because caring feels dangerous. A grounded person says, "I care, but I will not let caring destroy me." This difference matters because the goal is not to kill your heart. The goal is to strengthen it so deeply that it no longer needs to be ruled by every outside force. To become grounded, you must know your values before life tests them. If you do not know what you stand for, pressure will decide for you. If you do not know what kind of person you are trying to become, other people will keep pulling you back into the version of you they find most useful. If you do not know what peace means to you, drama will keep looking normal. If you do not know your boundaries, guilt will keep crossing them. If you do not know your worth, attention will keep buying your silence. Grounding begins with clarity. You must ask yourself, what do I refuse to become? What do I refuse to tolerate? What kind of energy do I allow close to me? What kind of life am I building? What version of myself am I no longer willing to betray? Without values, your life becomes a reaction to whatever happens next. With values, your response becomes guided. If your value is peace, you stop attending every argument. If your value is self-respect, you stop chasing people who treat your presence like an option. If your value is growth, you stop defending habits that keep you weak. If your value is honesty, you stop lying to yourself about what is hurting you. If your value is discipline, you stop letting emotions cancel your commitments. If your value is purpose, you stop spending your best energy on people and situations that do not belong to your future. Values make you stable because they give your choices a foundation deeper than mood. A grounded person does not ask, "How do I feel right now?" as the only guide for action. They ask, "What choice matches the person I am becoming?" That question changes everything. You may feel angry, but does attacking match who you are becoming? You may feel lonely, but does returning to old pain match who you are becoming? You may feel misunderstood, but does over-explaining to someone who refuses to listen match who you are becoming? You may feel afraid, but does quitting match who you are becoming? You may feel tempted to react, but does giving away your peace match who you are becoming? The stronger version of you is built when values become louder than impulses. Becoming grounded also means you stop needing everyone to agree with your growth. This is important because growth often makes people uncomfortable. When you stop reacting like you used to, some people may accuse you of being cold. When you stop taking everything personally, some people may accuse you of not caring. When you protect your peace, some may accuse you of being selfish. When you stop explaining yourself, some may accuse you of hiding. When you focus on yourself, some may accuse you of changing. But sometimes their accusation is only proof that they no longer know how to access the version of you that was easy to control. Do not let people guilt you back into emotional weakness just because your strength is unfamiliar to them. You must accept that some people only felt comfortable with you when you were ungrounded. They liked the version of you that reacted quickly because it made you predictable. They liked the version of you that over-explained because it made them feel powerful. They liked the version of you that chased because it kept them in control. They liked the version of you that took everything personally because it meant they could move you with small actions. When you become grounded, that old access ends. They can speak, but you do not collapse. They can withdraw, but you do not beg. They can misunderstand, but you do not abandon yourself. They can criticize, but you do not shrink. Your calm becomes a sign that the old door is no longer open. There is a quiet power in becoming emotionally difficult to manipulate. Manipulation works best on people who are desperate for approval, terrified of rejection, addicted to explanation, afraid of silence, and unsure of their worth. A grounded person becomes harder to manipulate because they are not hungry for every crumb of validation. They are not easily controlled by guilt. They are not easily trapped by emotional bait. They do not confuse intensity with love. They do not confuse someone's anger with authority. They do not confuse someone's disappointment with moral failure. They can listen, but they do not obey every emotional demand. They can care, but they do not surrender their peace as proof of care. To become grounded, you must heal the places where people used to control you. If rejection controls you, you will do almost anything to be chosen. If abandonment controls you, you will hold on to people who let you go emotionally long ago. If shame controls you, you will accept words that make you feel small. If fear controls you, you will avoid the life you were meant to build. If guilt controls you, you will say yes to things that drain you. If loneliness controls you, you will return to places that keep wounding you. Healing is not only about feeling better. Healing is about removing the hidden strings that keep other people pulling your emotions. One of the strongest ways to become grounded is to build self-trust. Self-trust is the knowledge that you can depend on yourself to protect your peace, keep your promises, tell yourself the truth, and choose wisely even when emotions are loud. Many people do not trust themselves because they have watched themselves break their own boundaries too many times. They said they would leave, but they returned. They said they would stop replying, but they answered. They said they would focus on themselves, but they went back to studying someone else's behavior. They said they would stop taking things personally, but they let one opinion destroy their whole day. This is not something to hate yourself for, but it is something to repair. Self-trust returns when your actions begin proving that you are serious about your own peace. Start small. Keep one promise to yourself. Protect one boundary. Pause before one reaction. Refuse one unnecessary argument. Stop checking one thing that keeps reopening the wound. Choose 1 hour of focus instead of 1 hour of emotional guessing. These small choices may look simple, but they are the roots of a grounded life. Every time you choose wisely, your inner world receives evidence that you are no longer abandoning yourself. Every time you protect your peace, your heart learns that it can trust you. Every time you refuse to let someone move you out of character, your identity becomes stronger. A grounded person also understands that peace is not maintained by controlling the outside world. You cannot control who likes you, who misunderstands you, who changes, who leaves, who criticizes, who ignores you, who speaks unfairly, or who refuses to appreciate you. If your peace depends on controlling all of that, your peace will always be fragile. Real grounding comes from controlling what is yours. Your reaction, your boundaries, your focus, your standards, your discipline, your self-talk, your choices, and your willingness to release what does not belong to you. This is where your power lives. Not in making the world behave perfectly, but in becoming stable even when the world does not. Many people want a peaceful life, but they are addicted to emotional movement. They say they want calm, but calm feels unfamiliar, so they return to drama. They say they want stability, but stability feels boring, so they chase uncertainty. They say they want self-respect, but self-respect feels lonely, so they return to people who make them feel needed but not valued. Becoming grounded requires you to stop confusing chaos with connection. If you grew used to emotional highs and lows, peace may feel strange at first. But strange does not mean wrong. Sometimes peace feels empty in the beginning because your nervous system is learning how to live without constant disturbance. Stay with peace long enough for your soul to recognize it as home. Do not run back to old storms simply because calm feels unfamiliar. Do not reopen a wound because healing feels quiet. Do not chase people who disturb you just because their attention gives you temporary excitement. A grounded life is not always dramatic, but it is deeply nourishing. It gives your mind room to think, your heart room to heal, your body room to rest, your purpose room to grow, and your identity room to stand without being shaken every day. Becoming grounded also means you no longer use other people's treatment as the measurement of your value. This is one of the deepest freedoms. If someone respects you, you are grateful, but you do not become dependent. If someone disrespects you, you create distance, but you do not conclude that you deserved it. If someone loves you, you receive it, but you do not make it your only source of worth. If someone leaves, You grieve if needed, but you do not decide that your life is now empty. If someone praises you, you appreciate it, but you do not worship it. If someone criticizes you, you examine it, but you do not become owned by it. Your value remains rooted inside truth, not floating inside people's behavior. A grounded person can be alone without feeling abandoned. This is powerful because many people are moved easily by others because they are terrified of being alone. They tolerate disrespect to avoid silence. They accept confusion to avoid distance. They lower standards to avoid emptiness. They chase people because their own company feels uncomfortable. But when you become grounded, solitude no longer feels like punishment. It becomes a place of rebuilding. You can sit with yourself. You can hear your own thoughts. You can face your own emotions. You can build your own routines. You can become comfortable in your own presence. This makes you harder to control because people can no longer use loneliness as a leash around your heart. You must also become grounded in your purpose. A person with no purpose is easily distracted by people's reactions. When your life has no direction, someone's opinion can become your whole day. Someone's rejection can become your whole identity. Someone's silence can become your whole story. But when you have purpose, you have somewhere to return. You may feel hurt, but you still have work to do. You may feel misunderstood, but you still have a life to build. You may feel rejected, but you still have a future to protect. Purpose gives your pain a smaller room. It reminds you that one person's behavior is not the entire meaning of your life. Purpose does not make you immune to hurt, but it makes you harder to derail. You stop making every emotional disturbance the center of your existence. You begin asking, does this deserve the energy I am giving it? Many times the answer will be no. No, that opinion does not deserve your whole day. No, that person's mood does not deserve your peace. No, that criticism does not deserve your identity. No, that rejection does not deserve your future. No, that silence does not deserve your self-abandonment. Purpose helps you choose what deserves you and what must pass by without becoming your home. A grounded person learns to let moments remain moments. This is a powerful skill. Someone's bad mood does not have to become your bad day. Someone's opinion does not have to become your new identity. Someone's criticism does not have to become your life sentence. Someone's rejection does not have to become your self-hatred. Someone's silence does not have to become a story that you were never enough. Let moments be moments. Let behavior be information. Let patterns be guidance. Let pain be a teacher. But do not let every moment become a permanent wound inside you. There is a difference between being affected and being controlled. You may be affected by a person's words because you are human. You may feel hurt by rejection because your heart is real. You may feel disappointed by misunderstanding because you care. But being affected does not mean you must be controlled. You can feel the emotion and still choose your direction. You can feel sadness and still protect your dignity. You can feel anger and still speak with wisdom. You can feel fear and still act with courage. You can feel lonely and still refuse to return to what broke you. This is what grounded strength looks like. You do not deny emotion, you lead it. Becoming grounded also requires strong self-talk. The way you speak to yourself when people hurt you will decide whether their behavior becomes a wound or a lesson. If someone ignores you and your inner voice says, "I am nothing," you will suffer deeply. If someone criticizes you and your inner voice says, "They are right, I always fail," you will collapse. If someone leaves and your inner voice says, "Nobody will ever stay," you will carry fear into your future. But if your inner voice says, "This hurts, but it does not define me," you begin healing. If it says, "I can learn from this without becoming it," you stay grounded. If it says, "Their behavior belongs to them and my worth remains mine," you protect your peace. You must train your inner voice to become a place of truth, not panic. When something triggers you, speak to yourself with steadiness. Say, "Pause before reacting." Say, "This moment is not my identity." Say, "I do not have to make their behavior about my worth." Say, "I can respond later if needed." Say, I am safe enough to choose wisdom. Say, I will not abandon myself to be understood. These sentences may seem small, but repeated in difficult moments, they become mental anchors. Anchors matter when storms come. Without anchors, you drift wherever emotion pushes you. With anchors, you can feel the storm and still remain rooted. A grounded person does not need to announce their grounding loudly. They do not need to tell everyone how peaceful they are. They do not need to prove how mature they have become. Their life shows it. Their reactions change. Their choices change. Their boundaries become clearer. Their silence becomes calmer. Their energy becomes more stable. They no longer respond to every bait. They no longer chase every person who becomes distant. They no longer explain themselves to every critic. They no longer give their peace away just because someone wants attention. Growth becomes visible not through speeches, but through patterns. People will notice when you become grounded. Some will respect it, some will test it, some will dislike it, some will miss the old version of you that was easier to move. They may try old methods to see if they still work. They may use guilt, silence, criticism, comparison, emotional pressure, or sudden affection to pull you back. This is where you must remain awake. Do not call something love just because it feels familiar. Do not call something care just because it comes with emotion. Do not call something truth just because it is spoken loudly. Watch the pattern. A grounded person trusts patterns more than performances. You must remember that being grounded does not mean you never need people. Humans need connection, support, love, encouragement, and community. The difference is that grounded people do not use people as their foundation. They can receive love without becoming dependent on it for identity. They can receive support without losing personal responsibility. They can receive advice without surrendering their judgment. They can be close to others without disappearing into them. Healthy connection strengthens you. Unhealthy dependence removes you from yourself. Grounding helps you enjoy people without making them the owners of your peace. Sometimes becoming grounded requires grieving. You may need to grieve the old need to be liked by everyone. You may need to grieve the fantasy that certain people will finally understand you. You may need to grieve the habit of chasing closure from those who created confusion. You may need to grieve the version of yourself that stayed available to people who never handled your heart with care. You may need to grieve relationships that only worked when you had no boundaries. Grief does not mean you made the wrong choice. Sometimes grief is simply the feeling of leaving behind a pattern that was familiar, even if it was painful. Do not mistake the discomfort of growth for a sign that you should go back. When you become grounded, the old chaos may still call you. The old attachment may still whisper. The old fear may still rise. The old need to explain may still appear. The old pain may still ask for one more reaction. But the new you must answer differently. Growth is not proven by never feeling the old pull. Growth is proven by no longer obeying it. You may still feel the urge to take things personally, but now you pause. You may still feel the urge to defend yourself, but now you choose whether it is worth your peace. You may still feel the urge to chase, but now you remember your worth. This is progress. This is power. A grounded life is built slowly. It is built every time you choose peace over panic. It is built every time you choose truth over assumption. It is built every time you choose boundaries over guilt. It is built every time you choose silence over unnecessary defense. It is built every time you choose self-respect over temporary validation. It is built every time you choose purpose over distraction. It is built every time you choose not to take someone's behavior as the final truth about you. Do not wait to feel completely healed before practicing grounding. Practice grounding while healing, and healing will deepen because of it. As this final chapter closes, remember this truth with your whole heart. Becoming grounded is the highest form of emotional freedom. It means you no longer live as a prisoner of other people's moods, opinions, silence, rejection, criticism, misunderstanding, or immaturity. It means you can move through the world with a heart that still feels deeply, but no longer breaks easily from every outside touch. It means you can care without collapsing, listen without absorbing, love without losing yourself, and walk away without needing to hate. It means your peace begins belonging to you again. Become so grounded that people can no longer move you easily. Become so rooted in your truth that false opinions cannot rename you. Become so loyal to your peace that drama cannot buy your attention. Become so connected to your purpose that rejection cannot stop your direction. Become so respectful of yourself that silence cannot make you beg. Become so clear about your worth that criticism cannot become your identity. Become so mature in your emotions that triggers no longer choose your behavior. This is what it means to stop taking things personally, not to stop being human, but to stop giving the world permission to control the human inside you. And when life tests you, because it will, return to your roots, return to your breath, return to your values, return to your purpose, return to your peace, return to the quiet truth that other people's behavior may touch your life, but it does not own your life. Their words may reach your ears, but they do not have to live in your heart. Their opinions may exist, but they do not have to become your identity. Their rejection may hurt, but it does not have to become your self-hatred. Their misunderstanding may be loud, but it does not have to become your prison. You are allowed to remain steady. You are allowed to protect your inner world. You are allowed to be kind without being controlled, loving without being consumed, open without being unguarded, and peaceful without being weak. The day you become grounded is the day you finally stop asking every outside reaction to tell you who you are. You already know, and because you know, you no longer need to take everything personally. As this audiobook comes to an end, remember this truth with your whole heart. The world will not always treat you gently, people will not always understand you correctly, and life will not always explain why certain moments hurt the way they do. But none of that means you must live as a prisoner of every word, every silence, every opinion, every rejection, and every misunderstanding that touches your heart. You are not here to let other people's behavior decide your worth. You are not here to let someone's mood become your identity. You are not here to lose your peace every time someone fails to see you clearly. The day you stop taking everything personally is the day you begin taking your power back. You stop turning every silence into self-doubt. You stop turning every criticism into a wound. You stop turning every rejection into proof that you are not enough. You stop turning every person's behavior into a mirror for your value. You finally understand that people act from their own pain, their own fear, their own immaturity, their own jealousy, their own confusion, and their own limited vision, and while their actions may affect you, they do not get to define you. You can care without collapsing. You can listen without absorbing. You can love without losing yourself. You can be kind without becoming available to disrespect. You can be misunderstood without begging to be seen correctly by every eye. You can be criticized without handing your identity to every voice. You can be rejected without rejecting yourself. This is not coldness. This is maturity. This is peace. This is emotional freedom. So from this moment forward, protect your peace like it is sacred. Let people have their opinions without making them your truth. Let people reveal their character without making their behavior your wound. Let people misunderstand you without spending your whole life explaining your heart to those who are not willing to understand it. Let people leave without chasing them back into your life at the cost of your dignity. Let people speak without giving every word a permanent home inside your mind. Your life is too valuable to be controlled by temporary emotions. Your mind is too important to become a battlefield for other people's opinions. Your heart is too precious to keep handing it to people who do not know how to hold it with care. Your future is too powerful to be delayed by overthinking, emotional reaction, and the endless need to understand why someone treated you the way they did. You do not need everyone to approve of you before you can respect yourself. You do not need everyone to choose you before you can choose yourself. You do not need everyone to understand you before you can stand in your truth. You do not need every apology, every explanation, every answer, and every piece of closure before you allow yourself to move forward. Sometimes peace begins when you stop waiting for other people to give you what you can finally give yourself. So close this audiobook with one quiet promise. Promise that you will no longer personalize every storm around you. Promise that you will no longer make people's behavior the final truth about your worth. Promise that you will pause before reacting. Protect your inner world. Focus on yourself. Learn from feedback without swallowing poison, and become so grounded that the world can touch your peace but no longer own it. Stop taking it personally. Start taking your peace seriously. And if this audiobook spoke to your heart, subscribe to the Book Frog, like this video, and comment, "I choose my peace," because the moment you stop living from pain, you begin living from power, and the moment you stop letting everything control you, you finally return to yourself.